I actually, when I first got started out, had a conversation with Kevin Kelly, who's now the coach at Presbyterian College. He just got hired there, but he was at Pulaski Academy in Arkansas, and he's kind of world famous as the coach that never punts and always onside kicks.
Mm.
And honestly, like he, especially at the high school level, he had so much data backing up what he was doing. Like he wasn't just, it wasn't a publicity stunt. Like he had studied the game and said, for what we're doing and the type of school we're at, it just works. We're not going to punt unless it's like dire straits. We're always going to onside kick and give ourselves a chance to get the ball back. And I was just kind of taken by that philosophy. And, you know, for me, coming from that defensive perspective, I knew that it caused so much stress for me when I had a feeling that the offense was almost always going to use 4 downs. So when we would play these, and again, it's not necessarily what you think of like modern innovative spread offense, but when we would play these flexbone teams, we played a team called Lenore Rhine back when I was at Davidson, and Mike Houston was the head coach, who's actually now at East Carolina, and they're not running the flexbone anymore, but they ran it back at LR, and they would always go for it on 4th down because they're a flexbone team, and they would use 4 downs to get first downs, and it would just wear on you defensively. And not just physically, but mentally, because you had to be engaged for 4 downs. And so I was just like, I want to put that stress on the defense. So if we're kind of on the plus side of our own 40-yard line, like consider it 4 down territory, and we're going to be aggressive. And it was not only kind of from Kevin Kelly and kind of my own experience, but then also instilling that kind of sense of urgency in our players that like we are not trying to give the ball away. We're trying to attack. And I think the teams that I coached at St. David's, I think were really kind of passionate about that. Like they would be shocked if I sent the punt team out. They're like, are you serious? Even on like 4th and 12, they're like, what? So, you know, it was one of those things where I'm not totally against punting by any means, but I think just football's more fun when it's being played aggressively and being coached aggressively and played aggressively. And I think the players have a lot of fun with it too. So that's kind of where that came from. It's kind of tongue in cheek, but I really do believe it. I think you should keep the punt team off the field as much as possible.
It reminds me of the NBA player who used to shoot free throws underhanded and made like every single one every time. And it's like he'll argue like it's against human nature, but it works better. Like statistically, it's backed up that it's more successful.
No, I mean, I just think, to your point, why aren't guys that are really struggling at the line just trying it? Like, what do you have to lose if you're shooting 30% from the line or 40% from the line? What do you have to lose? And I think more football coaches at lower levels kind of take that "what do I have to lose" mentality. And I think the higher you get when you're coaching, you know, Power 5 or NFL, you're de-incentivized to take those risks because, you know, if you go for it on 4th down and don't get it, you have a whole fan base coming back on you, and that you could end up developing a reputation and getting fired. Whereas if you're a high school coach, you know, obviously that'll happen some, but there's a little less of a spotlight on you. And so I think in some ways, especially I think particularly in the NFL, there's kind of this self-preservation and you're never going to get fired for doing what everybody else is doing. I mean, not that you never will, but you're less likely to get canned for doing what everybody else is doing. And so I think there's a little bit of that self-protection at higher levels, but I just think people need to push the boundaries more, and I think it's better for the game. And that's why I really do believe what Andy Reid says, where he says like all the good stuff is trickling up. Like it's not like high schools aren't taking NFL stuff necessarily. I mean, obviously there's some phenomenal stuff happening at the professional level, but that's one of the things Andy Reid says, is that a lot of the innovation in the game comes from the high school level, gets to the college level, and then it's tested and proven by the time the NFL adopts it.
Well, look at Gus Malzahn. He started coaching in in Arkansas, where he took a bunch of risks. And so I agree with you. What you're saying is high school football and lower levels allow you to take more risks, where if Doug Peterson got run out of Philadelphia by the fan base. And if Urban Meyer drafts Zach Wilson instead of Trevor Lawrence and then fails, the fan base is going to come down way harder.
For sure.